back to another episode of Revealing Biblical Truths. In this video, we'll be going through the book of Exodus, continuing in chapters 10 through 14. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell, and comment down below on insights on this section. So in chapter 10, Yah tells Moshe to go to Pharaoh again. So he appears and asks Pharaoh how long it will be before he will let the Israelites go. He tells Pharaoh that if he does not let them go, Yah will bring locusts the next day. Moshe left, and Pharaoh's servants also asked him to let them go, saying that they have become a snare to Egypt, and it's being destroyed. Pharaoh tells Moshe again that he will not let them go at all, but only the men. So Yah tells Moshe to stretch his hand out and bring the locusts. So he does this, and Yah brings an east wind, which in the morning brought the locusts. I find it very interesting that the Hebrew word for wind here is ruach, the same as for the spirit or breath. Many times in the Bible, the east wind is mentioned as having power. For example, it is the east wind that blew which parted the waters of the Red Sea during the Israelites' escape from Egypt. It is also known that the mountain of Yah is Mount Sinai, which is in Arabia to the east. Could it be that Yah resides on this mountain, or did reside on this mountain, and above it, and blew his breath toward Egypt during these events? The story continues, and the locusts destroy all their crops and green herbs and trees, as well as darkening the sky by the sheer number of them. Pharaoh then called for Moshe, and he said he sinned against him and Yah, and to beg Yah to remove the locusts. So Yah blew a west wind and removed the locusts. But Yah hardened Pharaoh's heart again, and he didn't let them go. So Yah told Moshe to stretch the rod toward heaven, and when he did, darkness enveloped all of Egypt for 3 days. I also find this interesting, as this was close to the time of the Passover, in which Yahuah, when he died, there was also darkness from the 6th to the 9th hour, being 3 hours. So 3 days during Moshe's time, leading to the freedom of the Israelites, and 3 hours of darkness during Yahush's crucifixion, again leading to the freedom of Israel in Yah. The text also says that the Israelites, where they were, there was light and not darkness. Once again, Pharaoh said he would let the men and children go, but not the flocks, trying to bargain with Moshe, but he would not let all their animals go. And that ends chapter 10. In chapter 11, Yahuah tells Moshe that he will bring one more plague on Egypt, and then they will be let go. He said at midnight, all the firstborn of Egypt will die, including the animals, but the Israelites won't lose any. In chapter 12, Yahuah tells Moshe that he will bring one more plague on Egypt, and that this month will be the beginning of the year. He says on the 10th day of this month they should take a male lamb without blemish of the first year and keep it until the 14th day. On the 14th day at evening they kill it and put its blood on the 2 side posts and on the upper doorpost, and then eat the lamb. They should eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs, roasted in fire. He says not to leave any of it, but if something remains, to burn it with fire. He also says to eat it in haste, with their shoes on and their staves in their hand, and it is Yahuah's Passover. He then says he will come into the land and smite all the firstborn of Egypt, but will pass over the Israelites that have the blood on their doorposts. He says this feast will be a memorial, and it is a feast in ordinance forever. He also says that they will eat unleavened bread for 7 days, and remove all the leaven from their house on the first day. He says the 1st and the 7th days are both holy convocations, and do no work on them, except only to eat. He says also this feast will be an ordinance forever. But let's pause here and make a parallel with the story of Yahushua. So Yahushua rode in on a donkey on the 10th day of Aviv, the first month, being symbolic of him being chosen as the unblemished lamb. It can also be noted that Yahushua's ministry was less than 1 year old from the time that he started, so this criterion would also apply. He was then killed on the 14th day of Aviv, and then taken down and put in the grave during unleavened bread. So Pharaoh woke up in the middle of the night and called for Moshe and Aharon and told them to leave. They began to leave, but also took of the Egyptians jewelry and silver and gold. In verses 37 and 38, it says that there were 600,000 men, not including the children. In addition, there was a mixed multitude. This means that not only were there genetic Israelites present, but also probably Egyptians and other nations present who were sojourn with them. It is also said here that a stranger can sojourn with them, but they cannot partake of the Passover unless they are circumcised. He then says that there is only one law, and it applies to both the homeborn as well as the stranger. And that ends chapter 12. In chapter 13, he calls this month Abib. In context, Abib is when the barley crop is in the ear or ripe for harvest. So when this month is the beginning of the year, he says it will be to them for a sign on their foreheads and in their hands. And symbolically, this means their thoughts and their actions will be upon this feast, so that they keep it. In verse 17, it says that Yah did not lead them through the area of the Philistines, which is a much faster way, to Canaan because they might want to go back to Egypt when they faced war with the giants. Instead, he led them through the wilderness of the Red Sea, which is through the Sinai Peninsula. They also took the bones of Yosef with them, which they promised to bury him back in Canaan. Finally, it says that he led them through the wilderness by a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. This must have been an amazing sight to see. I made a separate video on the Red Sea crossing with tons more evidence and information, and I will put a link in the description below, so check it out. In chapter 14, Yahuah tells Moshe to turn and go toward the sea. Pharaoh will then think that the Israelites will be entangled in the land with no way out and pursue them. After a time, Pharaoh hardened his heart and gathered 600 chariots to go after the Israelites. They caught up to them, and the Israelites were scared and asked Moshe if he brought them out here to die. And Moses said to the people, "Fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of Yahuah, which he will show to you this day. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, you shall see them again no more forever." Yahuah then told Moshe to lift up the rod and split the sea so that the Israelites would walk on dry ground across the Red Sea. So they began to move forward, and then in verse 19 it says that the angel of Yahuah moved from the front to the back and stood between them and the Egyptians. Then Moses stretched his hand out over the sea, and Yahuah caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea on dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them, on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watch Yahuah looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of cloud, and the troubled of the host of the Egyptians, and he took off their chariot wheels, and that they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, "Let us flee from the face of Israel, for Yahuah fights for them against the Egyptians." And Yahuah said unto Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots and upon their horsemen." And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its strength, when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it. And Yahuah overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea, and the waters returned and covered the chariots, and the horsemen, and all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. There was only one natural path they could have taken. The land from the Nueva beach across Arabia was on a natural elevation, and was surrounded on both sides by a deep trench. Following this miracle, the people actually believed Yah and Moshe, finally, and this was a huge miracle. But Yahuah made a perfect way for the Israelites to both escape and prove that he was Elohim. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Till next time, Shalom.